Freight Train has been and is still one of the most commonly recommended tunes there is for fingerstyle guitar. That being the case, it's probably one of the most misunderstood. It kind of makes sense. It's kind of the way it goes. The old game of folk telephone, of course. But if this is your first tune or you've been at it a while, I want to give you the best tools I can to help you learn one of the most important tunes there is for fingerstyle guitar. What are the skills you need to do this, and what is missing from the commonly taught versions to help you elevate your own playing and advocate for the genius of the woman who played it. Today we're talking Elizabeth Cotten and her tune, Freight Train. My name is Kyle Orla, and a big part of my mission on this channel is to peel back the onion layers and really to learn the best we can from the originators of the fingerstyle guitar. And look, I get it wrong all the time. I teach this stuff every day, and I get it wrong all the time. And so this is not like a pointing fingers kind of thing. Actually, really, I'm calling myself out, because one of the first videos I made on this channel was to teach you how to play Freight Train more accurately. And I missed a bunch of these details that I'm going to get into in this video today. So, since I'm always relearning these tunes, I figured I'd give you an update as well. I think that's the thing that sets my channel apart from some of the bigger channels, is I'm not really teaching you my adaptations. I'm just trying to teach you the way the original players played it to the best of my ability. So before we get too crazy, let's just start with the chords, because even her chords are often underutilized. Now really the first chord of the song, nobody really plays quite like Libba, so you got a C chord here with a moving melody. But what she does is she actually puts a G in the bass. The next chord of this song is G, which allows you to keep your third finger there for kind of an easy transition. It also kind of just gives the song a different atmosphere when that G is droning between all the chords, right? So with Libba's chords, this first line goes something like this. Rhythm on that G chord will probably throw you. You could definitely skip over it for now. Almost everybody in the world does. I do recommend you check it out and learn it though. We will highlight her rhythms more as we go, but first, let's learn a few more of these chords. So you've got a G chord, moving to a G7 chord. That should be pretty easy and familiar to you, but we've got this really special G7 chord that a lot of people skip over. So you got a G here and a F here. That makes a G7 chord. You'll notice our old G7 chord looked like this, so you have to kind of refinger a few things to make it work. Of course, she played upside down and backwards, so these are not her fingers. These are just what I came up with. I do know a few of my subscribers out there do play lefty with right-handed guitars, so they play upside down and backwards as well. So you could let me know what fingering you decided to use in the comments. We would all be very curious to know. This is just what I did. So the second line goes like this. There's that wonky rhythm again. It's like the tune goes from being like 4/4 time to half time almost. I like it. I really like it. You might not, that's just an opinion, but I do think it's objectively a really great compositional idea, because it segues perfectly into the E and the F chord, which is a little more groove based. We haven't talked about these chords yet. You've got an E chord, moving to an E7 chord, which is just like an E chord, but you got your pinky on the 3rd fret of the B string. If that's too big of a grab, you could also do this, right? Which is a little bit easier of a grip for a lot of people. The only word of caution is you have an open A string right there. And if you accidentally hit that, it's a little bit clashy. So I play it like this, just to kind of cover my tracks. The other chord is an F chord, which I play like this, and it's so I can keep my moving thumb and then use my pinky, which is just really common in this fingerstyle tradition, right? You could definitely play it without your thumb, but then you're losing that moving thumb kind of engine. You could play it like a bar chord, but then when you use your pinky, you change the chord quality, right? And so I just think it's one of those things that, yeah, it's a little bit harder in the beginning, but it makes things easier a little bit later on. So this third line, a little slower. That would be really hard with a bar chord. You would just have to constantly be, opening and closing your bar. Definitely possible. I'm sure people do it. Less motion, less movement, a little bit easier once you get used to hanging your thumb. One tip about hanging your thumb. try to just keep it there, right? Try to just keep it there. Don't like poke it forward and back, right? If you can learn to just hang your thumb there, honestly, my hand is usually, all the weight is usually on my thumb. It's not anywhere else. It's kind of just this grip. I could kind of throw my guitar around with it. So that's just a little tip on thumb chords. The whole idea is so that your hand doesn't have to move. And if you're banging your head against a wall on this part, don't worry too much about it. Like, you could just rollick some random fingerstyle pattern. And that's what I did for years, right? You just keep going back to the tune with a learner's mindset and add things to it as you go. Emphasis on add. You don't have to delete things, right? Just keep adding stuff as you come back around to the tune. Speaking of coming back around, we got to check out Libba Cotten's turnaround, because a lot of people gloss over this, and it's really cool. And again, the chord she's using is the C over G, and then she moves to what's technically called like a G sus4. It's just because she's hanging on to that melody a little bit longer into that G chord before she just makes like a natural G chord. Don't worry too much about it. And then she moves, you know, to just that C over G again. So the chord grip's not too challenging, but there is some technical stuff here. Check out this first measure. So I've got a hammer on, pull off, while I'm dropping my thumb. I don't know how to help you there. It's other than just kind of like, you know, you got to learn how to walk on a tightrope someday in your life, and this is the time, right? That little phrase, it's so Libba, it's so Libba. Actually, it sounds just like her tune, I'm Going Away, if you know that tune. It's probably in other tunes too, right? You work hard now, you don't have to work so hard later to learn the next tune. It's just the way it goes. So as a part two of this tune, you know, Freight Train is such an off-ramp for so many musicians to kind of add their own thing to. So I'm going to do the 5 levels of Freight Train, because this is just to give you a foundation, a place to go from, to innovate from. And that's what the great players have always done. They really understood the tradition, and then they could take it to places unknown. So look for that part 2, depending on when you're watching this video. That'll be available right here. Otherwise, check out the Patreon, download the tab, get the slow play along, and we will see you when we see you.